Hey guys, welcome to this live. Super pumped for this one. And I'm just gonna check. It's going good. If you're here right now, please put hashtag live. If you're watching a replay, please put hashtag replay. And share where are you from. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I'm immigrant from India. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I'm the admin of this community. I'm just gonna check. It's going good. Let's get into it. Perfect. I'm so excited about this bringing this person, Mr. Jacob Caris, to the community. Before starting this, here's something little story, like my experience about and this today interview live gonna change so many lives. The reason I'm saying this, 1 year ago I went to interview and I didn't know who Jacob Caris was. I don't know what these guys do, and I was just started watching it. I was sitting at my job at 3 a.m. in the morning because I do night shifts, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I, I was listening to this person, and that 1 hour literally changed everything for me. So I would say everyone, if I see a lot of people coming in, 7 people are joining us, please put hashtag live and joining in right now, and let's welcome Mr. Jacob Caris. And before welcome Jacob, I would like to share what has he done in this internet marketing, in his business, building his personal brand. Jacob Caris has won ClickFunnels of Dream Car Award in August 2018. Six-figure platinum marketer for legendary marketer. You guys all have heard about it. 100K a day from mastermind.com, and in early 2021 won his first ClickFunnels award from SA from his program. So let's welcome Mr. Jacob Caris.
Hey dude, what's going on?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, very well. What's up, everybody? Appreciate you having me on, man.
Thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I appreciate the introduction. Very complimentary.
That's the reality. When you saw your first time, I was just betting on my chance. But that one, I was sitting at my job at 3 a.m. just thinking, oh, when will I get done with this 3 a.m. shifts? But now I'm doing this interview. So super excited, man.
Yeah. What did you hear? Which interview was it? Do you remember?
It was with Prima.
Oh yes, right.
Yes, it was similar time in December near Christmas.
Yeah.
And that time was
just last year? A year
just
ago?
last year. Just last 1 year ago.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So please, everyone, if you are coming in live, hashtag live. Where are you coming from? Jacob is coming from Australia, Brisbane. I'm immigrant from India. I live in Canada, Vancouver, Canada. And let's get started. Jacob, a lot of people know about you. A lot of people are new in this community as well. Because of this, I was running this campaign. A lot of new people are in this community now. About 50 people in last week. So, can you start with sharing your story and how you got to this point, making crossing over 1 million a year every single year from doing it for a long time? Can you share your story how you reached this point?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, my initial journey online goes way back to 2011. That was my first year in the workforce out of university, and I pretty quickly was like, I don't know if this is the path for me. Started looking at kind of different things online. I bought a couple of websites off flipper.com, which is like a website kind of trading, not trading, like a website, sales, like a marketplace. And bought a couple off there and did okay with them. And what's funny actually is one of the guys in my inner circle now was once the CEO of Flipper. So it's kind of come full circle, which is interesting. But yeah, so that was my start. And then my kind of career started taking off, and I used to work in like financial advisory. Investment banking is probably like the closest parallel that most people can kind of draw to what I used to do. And it was in particular with really distressed businesses. So businesses that were either in the process of going through a bankruptcy or about to go through a bankruptcy. So it was an interesting field. So the online thing took a hold while that career kind of took off, and then end of 2015, an opportunity popped up, and I moved to New York for a couple of years in the same area, and did that. And it was in my second year over there, when I was due to come back the following year, that I started exploring again this game, because I kind of thought, well, I'm going to be moving back to Australia, kind of setting life up again. It's almost like a now or never type scenario. So I started reading books again, and ended up going through Russell's stuff with ClickFunnels, which is how that kind of came to be. In my first year in 2017, because of the job, I couldn't really be public. I couldn't really have a kind of an aggressive social media presence in terms of growing the business and stuff like that. So I just started out blogging. That was all I did in the first 12 months was blogging, reviewing books and softwares and courses and bits and pieces, just to kind of get my toe in the door, so to speak. And did about 15 to 20 grand in that first year, which was good. It proved to me that, hey, you can make this work, right? Like, it proved to me that there was an opportunity. And so then when I moved back to Australia in 2018, I took some time off work and took a pretty hard run at it, until I took off 6 months. So I grew the business to about 10 grand a month over those 6 months. And then decided to go back to work. It was one of those situations where I was like, I don't know just yet. I was like, I'm not quite certain. So
Still making like $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
You start making that? Okay. Still thinking. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was on a good salary with what I used to do as well, so it was hard to give up. And I was kind of like, I've put so much into getting this career built up. It's like, am I really prepared to kind of give it up now? And I went back within the first week. I was like, okay, this isn't going to work, right? Like, I'm not cut out for this anymore. And so I managed to kind of slug it out for 3 months. And then I actually got sick because I was trying to juggle both. I was working massive hours, as the finance industry is, and was running the business at night, and I was doing stuff with ads. I was growing the group. I was started doing coaching, and I was probably running on about 4 hours sleep for those 3 months, like, per night. And then it just caught up with me, and my blood pressure went through the roof, and doctors basically said, hey, you got to make a decision one way or the other. And I said, all right, well, let's give it a go. And it's been that way ever since. I haven't gone back, which is cool. So that was 2018 in August, I think, or might have been September. Around that time, that was when the dream car thing
Yes.
clicked over. Yeah. And then I actually took a little bit of time. I went quiet and kind of planned my next move, and that's what rolled into Legendary, and then KBB, and then SAA kind of took off the back of that experience. But I guess the big lesson and the big takeaway from my journey thus far, which I talk to everyone about, is in the internet marketing space in particular, it's your ability to roll one win into another. And if you dissect any of the big players in the internet marketing space, that's all they've been doing, be it for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's just compounding one win into another win, into another win, into another win. And so if people can start to look at the market like that, and in terms of how they strategize, you can actually start to think a couple of steps ahead. And that's what's served me really well, is that compound effect and just ruthless consistency. Like, I have people that will approach me and they're like, dude, I don't know how you're still creating every single day for years and years. And it's when you're passionate about it, but also when you keep reinvigorating yourself and taking on new challenges, it keeps it fun. So yeah, that's been the journey. And then, as you said, we did the 2 Comma Club, took about a year, a little bit over a year, maybe 13, 14 months after we launched SAA. And then off the back of that, I kind of broadened the brand out from just the affiliate marketing space to information marketing more generally. And that was early last year. And so that's been kind of the focus for the last 18 to 20 months. And we've been, readjusting the business and the product stack to kind of fit that market, and making a few other adjustments. And that's where we kind of sit as we head into 2023. That's who we work with. It's the personal branding side of things, and then monetizing it with those different vehicles, right? Because once you've got a brand, it doesn't really matter how you monetize it. Like, I could do an affiliate promotion for a company that approaches me. I could do it for a product that I like. I've done them for my clients.
Yes.
When they roll out things that I really like, I'll promote their stuff. It's the key to it is the brand and the audience. Once you've got that, the different vehicles to monetize are at your disposal, right? Like, we've done things. I just rolled out a $15 a month thing. We do $15,000 things. We've done $50,000 things. Like, you can do whatever you want once you've got the brand and the audience building.
And I see the power of it. Like the Freedom File you launched, the $15 one is so powerful, man. Like, it's really powerful. You got so many people joining in. It's really powerful. People can join at different points and know more about you every single day, right?
Yeah,
And
that's right.
And it's funny you talk about you was in corporate. Like, everybody in society have this thing, right? If you go into corporate, you make a lot of money and you live happily ever after. But like, learning from you, that's literally not the reality of it.
No, it's not. I mean, a lot of people I worked with weren't happy. They didn't see their family. They made good money. They wanted the year to be out, and they wanted their 4 weeks a year holiday, or 2-3 weeks like it is in America. And they live for the weekends, if they even got the weekends. And I don't know, that to me just wasn't. When I went to New York, it really opened my eyes, because Australia's a pretty small business market as it goes compared to the rest of the world. Our population's only 25, 26 million people. And then I went to New York, and seeing these young dudes, writing checks for $500 million and not even blinking. And you very quickly learn how much money is in the world, right? And you very quickly get exposed to the idea of, I'm trading 80 hours a week for like 150 grand a year, which 150 grand a year to some people sounds amazing. But
Definitely, yeah.
when you're trading 80 hours a week for it, and your health, and I spoke about this in the Freedom Files thing you were just talking about, like, when that's how you make money, swapping your energy for your dollars, you cap out. All right, you have to cap out. And the only way to make more is sacrifice. The only way to make more is to sacrifice other things, be it your health, be it your relationships, be it whatever. And that's what they're all doing. A lot of the guys I worked with in New York, they lived in the city during the week, and then their family was out in Jersey, so they didn't even like live with their family during the week, which to me was like so weird. They went home on the weekends because they needed to be in the city for work. I'm like, this is crazy.
I haven't
a better way. Yeah.
I haven't been home for 5 years, man.
Yeah.
That's reality of life. I'm gonna ask one question.
Your family's in a different country. These guys' family was like an hour away.
That's a big difference too, right?
It's a bit different, yeah.
Yeah. I have one question now, because I have one question later. What was life back then when you were working a corporate job? Just a day in your life.
Oh man. Well, it was it was two different types. It depended. When I was in New York, it depended if I was on a client so we did work for two different types of clients. We would either be advising a company, and if we were advising the company, we would be at the company. So if I was in that type of role, it would be 5-6 a.m. Monday morning on a plane wherever the client was. You would work until 10 to midnight most nights. Back in the office at 7-8 o'clock the next morning. You'd fly back to New York on either Thursday or Friday night. You'd usually have a couple of conference calls over the weekend, and then you'd fly back out again Monday. If if you had big reports that were due, it was just straight through. Like you'd fly back, but you'd be in the office on the weekend, and then you'd fly back out. It was crazy. If we were the other type of people that we worked with were banks. So if we're advising the banks on what they should do, all the banks are in New York anyway, so we could be stationed in New York, and that was a lot better because we didn't have the travel time, but the hours weren't any more generous. It was still the same. They just the big distinction I noticed between the finance game there and the finance game here in Australia. You get to Friday afternoon, if something pops up, it's like, all right, we'll deal with it on Monday. That's what most people do. We'll deal with it Monday. Over there, it's something pops up on a Friday night. It's like, nah, either let's just get on a call now and deal with it, or let's do it at like 6 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's just it just doesn't. It's around the clock all the time. So that was kind of life back then.
Oh, 100%. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
I have a question later. So let's get into the business part. One thing that stuck into my mind was like people talk about affiliate marketing, all that stuff. A lot of people are doing it. One thing you talk about on that interview as well, the personal brand. You focus so much on the personal brand, and a lot of people still need the clarity of it. Why personal brand is important. I have the clarity now. Like if anybody tells me in the world like personal brand, you don't grow a personal brand, I'm like, this is the way to do it, man. Don't even try to change it. Why is personal brand, having a personal brand, so important, especially in the internet marketing space?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of directions you can take this. So the big debate with the personal brand that comes up is, well, do you build a personal brand, or do you try and build like a corporation or a company brand or a business brand, whatever you want to call it, that you can ultimately sell, right? Like Alex Becker just sold, a big portion of his Hyros software. Like, do you build that, or do you build the personal brand? And I've gone back and forth on this a lot over the time. And what I kind of landed on, and this has been my experience too, is once you build up a name in the industry and you've got more experience behind you and you've got more cash flow behind you and you've got more resources behind you in terms of team and systems and contacts in your network, the opportunities to do those other types of businesses where you ultimately build them and exit become a lot easier because you've got a lot behind you to ultimately, I guess, fuel that type of endeavor. We've just lost you on the camera, dude. You still there?
I'm still here, but my camera stopped working.
Oh, no, that's all good. I'll keep talking. No worries. And so for me, I think it becomes a natural stepping stone where if you start with the personal brand, it's a much easier place to start. You can connect with people a lot more directly. You can monetize in a whole host of different ways that you don't quite have that same flexibility with other avenues. And then over time, as you build up that kind of portfolio of resources, you can invest them and explore other options. And if you look at a lot of the big players out there, I mean, the somewhat stereotypical but ultimate example of it is Elon Musk has a lot of companies, but he's also got the personal brand that sits behind him. Wow. And he's gone through periods where he's lost a ton of money because his companies are very vision based, right? And because of his name, because of his brand, because of the I guess the cachet that he's built up around his name, he'll never be short of money in terms of people funding him. Like they will always fund him. And I think you've just got to look. If you go more narrow into the internet marketing space, it gives you the freedom to kind of write your own paycheck when you've got an audience of people who have followed along for any period of time. You have flexibility to do whatever you want. So to me, it's just it unlocks. Whereas if you started with a business that you were ultimately trying to exit and sell, it's kind of trickier to go back the other way. Whereas I think if you start with the personal brand, you build up the network, you build up the assets, you build up the cash flow. The other thing that tends to happen too is, and I saw this in my old life, is when you start a typical business, right? Like not a personal brand business. the reason most of those fail, firstly, if they're not profitable, that's obvious. But two, if they are profitable, is because the owners pull the money out of it to live, right? And so for me, once you've got a personal brand that can kind of become your cash cow and make you $1 million, $2 million a year with very low deliverable time, you've then got the flexibility to go and do all these other things, but you don't actually need to live off the other ventures. You can let that business be kind of self-fulfilling in terms of if it makes 10 grand a month in profit, it can go back into growing that business instead of you pulling it out to try and live off it. So I think it ultimately gives you a massive advantage when you want to diversify. And in the information space, I don't think you're going to find a better business in terms of margins, in terms of time versus money. Like all of the benefits just are pretty hard to match when you compare it to other businesses for people getting started. Unless you've got some amazing idea for a software company or a tech startup and you've got the runway and the funds to build that, which 99.999% of people don't have. I think it's the place to start. And even if you look at a lot of the tech guys that ultimately build those types of businesses, they've got a personal brand, and that's where the connections come from. That's where the resources come from. That's where a lot of the shortcuts come from.
That's definitely, man. Like I agree on this so much because the reason shall is so low cost. And I'm when I started I was 23. Now I'm 24, and the connections I have now, the business I have built, and it's just amazing. Like I have not much cost anyways. I have cost, like I need to live somewhere. That's the cost, right?
Yeah.
But the cost is so low. Like I don't have to worry about these things.
Yeah.
So, uh, thank you so much, everyone, for being live. People are coming, like 30 people I have online from 1 minute. Thank you so much, everyone. Please engage on this so more people can see this. If you have any thoughts you want to share on your comments, please share it with us. And a lot of people are joining us. It's really great. So, let's get ahead to uh, the the way you show up every day, Jacob, like, consistency, mindset, like you show up every freaking single. I have seen like a lot of people in like 1.5 year that, come in and out, go back and forth, big guys, everything. But your consistency, your mindset, and the thinking of you long term, because I remember when we jump on the call, you
Yeah.
share, what has a longer term vision. How can people get into that and just not focus on today money, but focus on the longer term vision for the business too, especially in this game?
Yeah. It's a good question. Well, I don't think you can ignore the like today money, because it's a reality is you have to have it to live.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I was talking before about how I was already making 10 grand a month and I went back to my job, which a lot of people probably wouldn't do. And maybe I'm a little bit more risk adverse in that regard. And probably because of the world that I came from, I am. But I think people need to, look after that aspect, right? If you're coming into trying to build something meaningful, and you're giving yourself 2 months runway, and you think that you're going to, figure it out, it's not going to happen. Right. And so I do think you need to find a way to figure out that short-term situation such that you can grow the business without the stress of it needing to feed you, because it will be like, even ours has ups and downs, right? I've been doing it for 5-6 years and it has ups and downs. We have good months and we have months that I'm not as happy with. And so it's definitely going to happen earlier on. And so if that means getting a job in order to allow you to start the business and not have to live off the business, go do that. Right? That's totally fine. If it means spending an extra 3 months in your job, it's fine. Right? You've got plenty of time. There's plenty of runway, and you're setting yourself up for more stability and less stress. Right? And the interesting thing that happens too is when people slow down and when people take the pressure off themselves and by extension the prospects that they're talking to, it's funny how much easier the sales actually become because nobody's overly stressed in that sales dynamic. Whereas if you get to the 15th of the month and you got rent due tomorrow and you need to make a sale, like that money is going to run away from you faster than you can ever imagine.
I have been there.
Yeah, so it's I find a different way to cover the short term and then allocate the time that you can to the business so that time isn't stressed would be my advice. You'll build differently, you'll consume differently, you'll talk to people in a different way, your content will come across in a different way. People who are trying to or only focused on today, you read their stuff and it's, you can tell that there's one reason that they're posting and there's one reason only. And it's like, I need to make a buck now. And they might be able to, but it's probably not going to last. I think the other thing too is there's these blurred lines in our world between a business / a brand and a method to make money. And I think people kind of conflate the two when really they are thinking about two different things. So they'll say they want a business or a brand when really they just want a method to make money. And so they go into a program where it might be showing them how to build a business or a brand, but then they're expecting the result of, well, where do I click? What are the 3 clicks to make a certain outcome happen? And they're two very, very different things. And this is very hard to find, this exact method, right? There's too many variables. And so I think, again, people are kind of misaligned in what they think they're looking for versus what they need. And so you need to think about it like a real business. You need to think about it like a real brand, and put a 10-year horizon on it, right? Like put a long term. That doesn't mean that you have to wait that long to get paid, but when you build with that horizon, everything becomes a lot less stressful. That's my kind of take on it. And that's something I had to learn, in particular over the last probably 2 to 3 years. I didn't have that clarity when I first started. I was a lot more kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what stuck.
100%. Like I have done as well. Like until we sat down on the call, like process, I was not even like how to make the money. Every day I wake up, how the money gonna show up. But
Right.
When you go to the process, like this need to happen, this need to happen. This is a process. You follow the process, and it's gonna show up every freaking single day. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't want to put that energy to create that process, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. I think where the misalignment comes is that people forget that money is an effect, right? Everywhere in this world, there's cause and effect happening, right?
Yes.
A certain thing happens, which creates another thing. A certain thing happens, which creates another thing, right? Like if I pick up the microphone and throw it at the window will smash, right? Cause effect. And money is an effect. Money is the smashed window. Right? If I just sit here and stare at the window and try and get it to break, it's not going to break.
100%.
I have to take the action, the cause of throwing the thing at the window in order for it to actually happen. And the cause, the throwing, that's the steps, right? Process. That's the content. That's the lead generation. That's the offer. That's the you getting yourself in the right headspace. That's all the things that come before it, where I think most people are looking at the effect and going, how do I turn that tap on by just staring at it? And it's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You need to do something.
Right.
100%. And this is one more question connected, like process. A lot of people follow process. A lot of people follow process too, but just this is related to it. Competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know the answer a little bit myself as well, but I forget getting in because the competition comes in. Because a lot of people come into the market too, and
yeah.
Especially for a beginner, because when they see, okay, this is now I'm gonna start this, but okay, a lot of competition there. I'm gonna do that. Can you little bit light on that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of ways to think about this. One, when you look at when you look at any given market, yeah, there might on the surface appear to be a lot of people. I got this kind of analogy from Greg Jeffries, who was one of the guys that I worked with initially. He helped me out a lot, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was I did an event on the Gold Coast in 2019, and he put up this graph. He actually came out from Austin and spoke at it, and he put up this like chart, and it was like a big circle was all the people in your industry, right, who you think are your competition. And then you've got a much smaller circle, which is the people who are actually doing stuff every day, who are executing on the steps that, or just executing, period, right? They're doing something, right? That's a much smaller circle. And then you had like the tiniest circle, which is the people in your space who are actually executing consistently and they're doing the right things, right? They're executing in the right way, with the right headspace and with the long-term mentality and blah, 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 blah. And the size of that circle versus the size of the market of who you think your competition is, it is ridiculous, right? It's probably 1%, right? It's probably 1%. And so that's one way to think about it is if you have a good plan and you execute consistently, your competition goes from this huge pool of people that you might see on the surface down to like tiny fraction. The other way to think about it is, when you go through like a course, they'll say, pick your avatar and, who's your ideal client and all that kind of stuff. That's not something I've ever actually done. For me, it's more about, rather than picking a niche, when you build a brand, you kind of just create your own niche. And it's just about building a pool of people who follow you, right? And when you see this in full swing, like I talk about wine a bit because I like wine. I like nice wine. And I've had multiple people message me and go, hey man, you should put out like a guide on wine recommendations. That's the power of a personal brand, is because if people follow you for one thing, they'll be interested in your thoughts on other things. And so you can basically create a niche of one where there is no competition, with kind of this overlap of your unique personality, your unique personal interests, the overlap of whatever the market is that you're actually going to talk into. And it's that little Venn diagram and that section in the middle where all those things overlap, that's your niche of one, your unique style, your unique voice, your unique sense of humor, all these kind of things, those kind of go into a melting pot to create a niche of one. And when you do that and you do that well, you don't really need to worry about competition.
I'm loving this, man. Loving this. This is I need to get reminded about this every single, like basically on a daily basis, because this still comes up. But there's 80-20, like smaller circle, super powerful, super powerful. And the personal brand we got, this thing is the most powerful thing. And now I can really see the effect as it's growing every single day. I can see the effects myself. Like, okay, there's no basically like competition. Like, you just do your own thing and do it properly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's very liberating. Like, it gives you a lot of freedom, a lot of flexibility, to experiment with different things and to come and go. And, it's not sterile, right? You're not attached to any one platform, or you're not attached to any one strategy, or you're not attached to any one market. You can do whatever you want and people will follow. And that's the really cool. It takes more work, right? It takes more work in the short, medium and long term, but I think the benefits far outweigh the inputs.
Oh, perfect. Amazing, man. Hope we are having really, really, awesome breakthrough, guys. 14 people with us from the beginning. Thank you so much for everyone here. If you have any question, go ahead. You're only going. People are sharing their thoughts. Amazing. If you're liking something, guy, please share this with your friends, or something who can really learn. Would love to have them in the community as well. Jacob, next one is like something people still can't wrap their head. You close offers like $50,000, $25,000 with a Google Doc, and
Yeah.
basically your specialty is no closers, no appointment setters. So what really like foundation of that? What was the foundation of that to let people
I've got to
like
give
understand that?
Yeah, I've got to give a lot of credit to Travis Sago. He helped me out massively with that. So go look up his stuff if you guys don't know who Travis is. Um, we've kind of taken it and put our own spin on it and done different things. We were doing it to a degree already, but he kind of helped me really take it up a notch. The interesting thing there is so for full context for people following along, the way we sell is we don't do calls. We just sell in Messenger. I call it invitation selling. So we build up an audience of people. There's 3 phases to it. We build up a big audience of people, which is the people that follow us in the general market. So this is people who are on my profile, people who are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever, right? Like public facing, they can consume it. Then we have a second layer in that we call the community. For me, that's a Facebook group currently and an email list. These are people who have taken a step towards you in some way, right? Like it's more of a filtered group. It's a subset of that first phase. And then from there, we invite those people to work with us, be that through our content or through a conversation. And the word invite is what it is in the purest sense. It's, hey, I've got this opportunity. Would you be interested in getting details? Or they come to you and say, hey, I'd like to come along, and you send them the invitation with the details. The framing is, hey, we're going out to dinner. Do you want to come along? Whether you decide to join us or not, that's fine. We're going either way. So would you like to come? Right? That's kind of the stance, if you will. And when you do this correctly, you don't need to do a phone call because a lot of the heavy lifting has been done already. Now, where people go wrong is they think that the magic in getting off the phone is what you're replacing it with, like a document. The real magic is what happens before that, right? The document could be a one page that says, here's what's happening, here's who's coming, here's how many spots there are, here's the price, here's what you get, here's who it's definitely for, here's who it's definitely not for, right? Like one page just qualifying, like a birthday party invitation, right? Where is it? When do you have to RSVP by? Do you need to bring food? Can you bring a +1? Like all the details of the event, right? Of the thing. Very similar. There's no magic in that. There's a little bit in that if you can write good copy, it helps, but there's not a lot of magic in that. What the real magic is what happens before they see that. And that's the relationship. That's the depth of the relationship. And that comes down to a concept called pre-selling, which is about, do they know what problems they have, and does that align to the problems that they solve, and they know you solve those problems? Do they know your plan to help them and how that sits relative to what they're already doing or have tried in the past, and what your path looks like, right, to help them, and that they're pre-sold on you as a person, your views, your philosophies, your style, your approach. And if you tick those boxes and they still want to work with you, there's only one option, right? There's only one place they can go, and that's to buy your thing. And then the last thing they need to be sold on is price. And you can either make that public or you can hold it back. Some people do it differently. I'm pretty open in my stuff about my prices, because it makes life easier, right? I'm like, well, I may as well put it out there. And then if they approach me or I talk to them about it, they already know, and it's not this big elephant in the room. Like they know it, right? Yeah. They know what it is. And if they can't do it, then that's fine. The other thing that happens too is the more time people have to sit on a price of something that they want, they'll find a way to justify it. I bought a new car like 2 months ago. And I was looking at it. I'm like, ugh, don't want to spend that much money. And then I drove it and I'm like, shit, I really like it. And then I bought a BMW X4, the 4-drive.
I know the BMW, but I didn't know that exact X4. Okay.
Yeah, X4. Yeah, it's nice. I love it. And I took Liana to drive it, and she's like, this is really nice. And within 72 hours, it went from being like, oh, I don't want to spend that much to we paid cash for it, right? Like, we just bought it because I wanted it. And you find a way to process, you find a way to justify it, you know? Oh, it's got low Ks, it's going to last us for ages. Like, you come up with all this shit to justify it. It's ridiculous. But it's what happens. And so my logic with the pricing thing is, if I put it out there sooner and they still want it, it's better that they have more time to think about it than less time to think about it, right? Because then they can find ways to justify why they need to do it. And if I just keep making my compelling case, then that's going to happen naturally. And that's how it works in practice.
100%. Because like I can experience as well. I know, like, we're talking about the inner circle, and I know the price already, right? So I know for a long time, not like more than 6 months now. There's nothing like hidden for me.
Right.
So and now you're finding the reason why that thing is like 15, like how money, doesn't matter how much this is.
Yeah.
You know where you're gonna go with that. Same with the BMW, like what can I get with that thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that, and if you through your content and through your conversations as well, people are sold on those aspects, those four in particular. When they then see the invitation, it's just like ticking the box. It's like, yeah, let's do it. Or if now's not the right time, we say, sweet, let's circle back whenever, right? And that's how our kind of very low pressure approach. The reason I like putting the focus on the front end is because it's got a lot more leverage than me having a bunch of one-to-one conversations or the team, or having a team of people having one-to-one conversations. So I like to put more emphasis on the videos and the words and the emails and the audios and all that kind of stuff, and build that ecosystem. And this is where products come into it as well. The products help accelerate the relationship on the front end. Like the newsletter is a great way to accelerate the relationship. Pre-sell more. That's what's really happening in those front end products, is you're pre-selling people on your methodology. And then the time comes where they ultimately are ready for the thing that you want to sell them into, which is going to be your back end offer.
I can feel that, because I have bought many times for you, and I have never, like, sometimes I say no as well. Time is wrong, but I never felt like, okay, Jake, I will, if I say no to Jacob, nothing will, like, he will understand.
Yeah,
That's
fine.
good. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and but every time, like, a freedom files up, like, people, I buy. So when I see the value, when the time is right, two things need to happen, right? Time is right, need to that happen too.
Yeah, the timing doesn't get spoken about by people. It's like, if someone doesn't buy, it's always put back on the purchaser as they're the one that's wrong. And that's just not true, right? I told a story the other day somewhere, I can't remember what it was, about how my dad was in hospital recently, and I had this dude chasing me on email about some copywriting services. And it was a good deal, but there's no fucking way I'm signing up for your copywriting services while this is what I'm dealing with. Like, you're just so far down my priority list. And there's nothing wrong with the offer. There's nothing wrong with the person selling it. There's nothing wrong with their sales process. I'm definitely not committed, right? People are like, oh, if you don't buy now, you're not committed, you're not serious. No, I clearly am. It just wasn't the right time. And people don't talk about that.
Nobody talks about in sales. No one talks about the time thing. No one.
No.
The first person I saw, you were talking about the time. I'm like, oh, this hits. Okay, not freaking time is different. Like, now Christmas is going on. People are different priorities. It's fine. It's totally fine. Right?
Yeah. And if you're in it for the long term,
that's
where timing is on your side, because you don't have to treat every prospect like they're being treated by every other salesperson, which is, buy or die, right? You can give them the room to think. You can give them the room to consider it. The really cool thing is, when you actually take that approach and you're more detached and you give people the room to say no, again, they're more likely to say yes, because you're a lot more relaxed about things.
Jacob, can you read the question, or I should read it?
Yep.
Okay.
What would you say to someone who has practiced their sales process, the one taught in SAA, and had hundreds of DM conversations whereby they've tweaked it and tested it, etc., but still no sales? So the first thing I would say is, don't think about those conversations as dead, right? Think about those conversations as 100 or hundreds of seeds planted. Right? What we typically see happen is, especially in this industry, is people will have a lot of conversations to begin with because you don't have any traffic, right? You don't have it. You don't have ads running. You don't have a name, and so the fastest way to generate traffic is to talk to people directly, right? Because all traffic is a set of eyeballs looking at an offer. That's the whole goal of it. And so the fastest way to do that initially is to go directly to people and have a conversation with them. So that's completely normal for the initial phase. The part where I see people go wrong is they think that because that person didn't buy now, it means they're never going to buy, right? When you're early on, you don't have a name, you don't have experience, you don't have results, you don't have a track record. It should be harder for you to convert than somebody with all of those things. It's just a fact, right? And so rather than looking at them as lost, I would look at them as seeds planted and all future relationships that can convert. What we typically see is the people that stick with it and push through, and as their results start to accumulate, it's very, very interesting how so many of those initial conversations start coming back and going, hey, what are you doing? So, well, it's the same thing I was doing 6 months ago when we spoke. I just stuck with it. And they start coming back and then they buy. So that would be how I would kind of reframe the thinking is you haven't necessarily done anything wrong. It may just be that you need to build up more trust, that timing on their end, budget on their end, the offer may need improving. There could be a lot of variables. So that would be kind of how I would reframe your thinking around it. Then I would be really, really consistent with my content. I would stay in touch with the people who are being responsive, and keep nurturing those relationships. The first 10 grand is the hardest by far. First 10 grand, then your first 100, then your first million. It's absolutely the hardest. And so I think the key part is just reframing your thinking. Is I think you've actually probably done an amazing job by initiating hundreds of new relationships. Keep getting to know those people better, keep showing up and making a really, really compelling case. Like I've got a list on my CRM of 50 people who have said that they're interested in Inner Circle. Timing's just not right yet. Doesn't mean I fucked up that conversation. I know how to have a conversation. Just different factors. Maybe they're not at that spend threshold yet. The timing doesn't feel right. They need to see something else. They're going through something else at the moment, like another program, like a lot of there's a lot of variables. So I view them, I just view each of those conversations, each of those people in my audience as an individual relationship that I'll just keep nurturing through the content and the conversations over a period of time. And when the time is right, something will happen or they'll drop out altogether. And this is where it comes down to focusing on the cause and the effect, right? I know if I keep doing that and keep doing that consistently, the sales will come because that's the cause and the effect is the money.
Opera said like brilliant, like her question is answered 100%.
Cool.
There's one more question, answer that, and let's get.
I'm just under the question is, let's say if you're meeting someone for the first time, do you suggest invitation on the front end? What's basically pre-selling for you? How do you do it? So yeah, I mean, if you're having a conversation with someone and it feels like, that they're probably a fit for the thing that you're ultimately trying to sell, invite them, right? They may not say yes, but if you go into it knowing that that's the case, then that's fine, right? Make the invitation. If you get the invitation out there, then they can sit on it, then they can think about it, then you can stay in touch with them, then they can keep consuming your content. At the very least, they've now got context, right? It's good to get a VSL or an invitation in front of somebody because now they consume your content with context about what comes next, right? If they don't consume it, if they haven't seen that, then they're kind of guessing. So if you put the invitation in front of them and they say no, that's totally fine, right? Then you just keep doing your thing, and in time they'll tip over. Pre-selling is through your content, and it's those four main buckets that I spoke about before. It's problems and symptoms and pains. It's like, what are the things that people are struggling with? You need to show them that, one, that's what they're going through, because in a lot of cases people aren't actually aware of what their problems are. And two, you need to show them that you are someone that has capacity to help them with that, or you have access to a program that can help them with that. So problem is kind of the first part. The second part is solution. So that's how you go about doing it. That's the strategy, the methodology, and the benefits of that approach. And then the third part is you, and how you're different and how you're unique. If you get people to buy into, hey, I've got this problem, and hey, Jasmine solves these problems, you get them to buy into, hey, I really like the idea of that approach, right? And three, I really like Jasmine's style and her view of the world and view of business and sense of humor and all that kind of stuff. They buy into you, you're basically there. So that's pre-selling. Then the last bucket becomes the product itself and the price and the more mechanical pieces of it. I'll give you a real world example. So I'm in Travis's mastermind, which is the one I'm in, is $25,000 a year. And the problem that I didn't actually realize I had, but he illuminated for me, was I was getting burnt out because we didn't have any, we had a little bit of continuity built up, but not much. And so he showed me that I had this problem, right? By starting each month at effectively zero and having to climb the mountain again and again and again and again, which to people who aren't making sales, they'll be like, yeah, poor you, but trust me, it becomes fun. Because more people, and more people is more problems. And so he showed me I had that problem. I wasn't even aware of the fact that that was my issue at the time. So check, right? Then he showed me, my head then went to, okay, well, I've seen most other people in the market who do high ticket continuity, and they've got like 5 different coaches in the program, and they do like a quarterly live event, and they've got like 600 courses, and I just didn't have the want or the desire to go and build that. So what he showed me was, well, no, actually you can just start a really small community and lead your best clients from your front end programs and from your world. And it can be really simple. You have a community of them. You show up each week for a call. Maybe you do a bit of one-to-one where relevant. And that's more than enough. Right. So that was a limiting belief on my part, or a false assumption on my part. And he showed me a different way to do it. So that's his plan. That's his solution. So that's that second bucket. Right. And in explaining those first two things to me, he has his own unique way of doing things. He has his own unique language and style and sense of humor and approach. And I bought into that through consuming the content about the first two buckets, such that when I saw the post about it, I joined. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and I was sitting on my computer and was like, done within 3 minutes. So that's it in full effect, if you want kind of a real life example. And there's a bit, maybe re-listen to that if you need to.
Thank you, Jay, for answering that. This will be available as replay, Jasmine, as well in the community too. So don't worry about it. You can watch the replay. Jacob, just I know you mentioned about the time. We are earlier of the time.
Well, I've been okay. So let's go to the top of the hour. That's cool.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jasmine said thank you. Got it. Thank you. Perfect.
Cool.
And just 2 more questions. What, as I started with that, what was the life looking then? And what is the life looking now? Like now you have achieved like these things, you have a side of the business, monthly, recurring income as well. What does a day in life of you look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I structure my calendar. Mondays and Fridays are always clear. So it's Tuesday for me now, which is why I'm on a call.
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesday's usually my one-to-one day. So I had a one-to-one this morning. I've got another one-to-one this afternoon. And then if other stuff pops up like this, I'll put it on either a Tuesday or a Wednesday morning. Thursday morning is my inner circle call, and then Friday is always clear. So the reason I bookend it with 2 clear days is a couple of things. One, Liana and I like to travel a bit, and it keeps the weekends clear. 2, I like to start and end the week on my own terms. So when you're coaching other people or helping them with their businesses, it's easy to become kind of trapped in that and lose sight of your own stuff. So I like to have a clear day at the start of the week to what are we going to do this week, and a clear day at the end of the week. How did we do this week? That's the other reason. And I also like to group the calls and stuff together because it takes a certain headspace. And so rather than jumping back and forth between those across 5 days or 6 days or whatever, I like to keep them kind of all clumped together. Yeah. So that's kind of the loose calendar that I run. I typically get up about between 6 and 6:30 in the morning, which I was never a morning person before. But when you're building something of your own, it becomes fun and exciting, and you typically want to get up earlier. Yeah,
I know. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm typically up about 6:30. I get my coffee. I sit down in the office here between 6:30 and 7. Usually the first hour of the day is kind of writing posts or emails, responding to messages, responding to emails, just getting caught up because of the time zone as well. A lot happens overnight for me.
Yes.
So I kind of play a little bit of catch up. And then usually, put out a Facebook post or an email. If a YouTube video has gone live, we'll get an email out. If I need to create something to give to the team, we've got all of our distribution automated now. So I just create it in its kind of raw form, be it written or video, and then they distribute it all for me. So that's usually in the morning. And then the afternoons are more like strategizing and kind of building. You spend a lot of time in this. I think you need to spend a lot of time in this game thinking. And that's not necessarily stuff that's going to feel particularly productive at the time, but it's what leads to clarity. And it's what helps you from ending up in a bit of a mess. So my afternoons where the US market's kind of logged off by my afternoon for the most part. So I don't get much in terms of inbound and messages and bits and pieces. I spend it reading and building stuff and writing and just doing what I want to do, basically.
And evenings, I mean, what time you head to bed?
A lot earlier than I used to, like 10 o'clock.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. But I finish work by 5:36. Dinner.
Oh, it's a good chill day.
Yeah, it's very relaxed. Yeah. Usually, Leona and I go out for lunch, or I usually take about 2 hours in the middle of the day, either go to the gym or go for a walk or go to lunch, or there's a big gap in the middle of the day, and then I'll come back and do kind of an afternoon session. The
reason I'm asking this, like for me as well, because I see people, the size of business you have, the money you're making, things like that. People can't, have this kind of life. And the prize is so big. Like when you get the money come in, you get taste the success. The prize is really good, really big one. Like you can live the life on your own terms. That's the best feeling ever, right?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I've had to undergo a lot of learning and transformation over the last couple of years. We've actually gone down in terms of revenue over the last 2 years, but I've probably slashed my workload by a factor of 5. Right? Like I've in this, and when I say workload, I mean like have to do type stuff, right? I don't really consider sitting in here of an afternoon and reading and writing to be working, because I'd probably do that anyway. It's what I enjoy. So like have to do work has been slashed, even if we are making a bit less money. And part of that was re-engineering the business to be more recurring focused. So like our big target right now, and I've always got one kind of big thing that I'm working towards, is $100,000 a month recurring. So we want that locked in at the start of each month is the big target. So then if we end the month at 150, great.
If you can share, where are you right now with the 100K?
I'd have to add up across all of our products, but I'd say in recurring we'd be somewhere between probably 30 and 40 at the start of the month at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we've just added in freedom files. We have actually quite a few different types of continuity. I've got affiliate continuity. I've got financing on some of our courses. We've got traditional
Yes,
payment
yes.
plans like 3 pays and 4 pays. We've got Inner Circle is recurring, but that's group. And then I've got one-to-one retainers. We've also got an investment side of things, which increases it a bit as well. So there's a couple of variables. But I would, if I was to guess, I would say we're probably between that 30 and 40 mark at the moment.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to see when the 100K hits. I'm here.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we'll get there. We'll get there for sure. I mean, the
I,
key
I
is,
know.
yeah, the key is the right people. Like we could probably do it a lot faster.
Oh, yes, 100%.
But when you sell to the wrong people, it's a nightmare. So I don't really care when it happens. Like beyond having a bit of money in the bank and things being paid for, it's your priority shift from raw numbers to they've got to be enjoyable. If you hate the people that you have to work with every day, there's no point.
I see that because the people in inner circle, because I have like been on calls, like the when you share something, right? When the inner circle call you share, everyone is good person because I have been in the market for now long
Right.
time now. Good person, really want to like passionate about the business, and you jive with them as well.
Yeah.
This is good point to have in mind because the people just want to do anything for the money, and then it's not. I have seen that myself because wrong people you don't want to start working with.
No,
I've seen that.
it's not worth it. And
It's not worth
honestly,
it.
like 1 or 2 of the wrong people will be so detrimental for your income that you might make an extra $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
But if you then have no energy to show up and create content and don't want to check your messages and you hate it, on the other side, it's gonna drop way more.
One last question, then we're done with it. Thank you so much, Jacob.
No worries, man.
What would Jacob Karras would remember? Just a second. What would Jacob Karras to remember for?
Oh shit.
This is deep. Like the reason I asked this, you have impacted so many lives, like, and you are doing that on a daily basis. Like for me, you have transformed my life in just 1 year. A lot of people I got help from, but the keystone was you. So that's why I wanted to ask this question.
I think, I mean, there's a few layers to this. Personally, I want to get to the end of my days and I don't want to have, I mean, I think it's impossible to not have some regrets because otherwise you probably haven't lived. But I want to be able to, get to my old age and not sit there and go, shit, I wish I'd done XYZ while I was younger. So that's a big point of optimization for me. I am super close with my family, so I want to be able to do stuff for them if there's anything that they're short of in their lives that I can help pick up the slack, be that financially or otherwise, right? Financially is important, but like I said, Dad's been sick and I basically just took the whole week off and just sat with him in the hospital. Like, you can't do that normally, right? So it's not just about the numbers. If I'd built a business where I couldn't step away from it, again, I couldn't do it. So that's it, probably in a more personal level is that's how I'd like to be able to reflect on my time. Slightly broader than that, I went through kind of an epiphany when I went to New York and saw, the big numbers getting thrown around and realized, hey, there's a lot better way to do things. You can make as much as you want to make and work as much as you want to work. And we live in such a cool time. And if I can play a part in illuminating those opportunities for people, and freeing them from, something that they don't want to be doing, and then that has a flow-on effect to their family or their kids or whatever, then that's probably it for me. And then once I think you've got to make money yourself first before you can go and help. 100%. Not fully, but you can help more people if you've got money.
Yes.
Right. I think it's great to be philanthropic, but if you've constantly got your hand out, it limits how many people you can help, right? And so longer term, we'll get involved with different charities and things like that. There's already a couple that I kind of put money into, and we'll just keep expanding that. My kind of big vision that I've shared with my inner circle guys is I've always said from the time I was a kid, the football team that I follow, and Liana and I follow around the country.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be on the board or the president. That's a big target. You can't buy them; they're not private, so you can't buy them. But get on the board and be involved in some way there. That's probably in terms of a bigger vision for me. That's what I'm after.
If you think about it, opportunity shows up. I know that opportunity shows up 100%.
It does, and there's a great lesson in that. For anybody watching this, your ability to create opportunities for yourself and for other people is the key to everything. Because money's made when things are happening, when things are flowing, when transactions are happening, when people are meeting, when lives are happening, when people are doing call. Money doesn't happen when things are stationary, right? The reason I used to get those calls from people going, hey, we need to spend $200 million is because if it's sitting in their account doing nothing, nobody's making any money. The fund isn't making any money. The manager, his underlings, they're not getting their bonuses. Money's not being made. You have to get things in flow and happening. And that starts with asking the question, right? That starts with asking people, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? Just creating shit and seeing what comes out of it. And that takes a certain level of abundance to not be they're going to steal my customers and all that kind of stuff like that. But 100%. When you experience it, there's so much opportunity out there that if you become a person who sets up opportunities for other people, creates them for yourself, that's where the money will come from.
No, 100%. 100%. You need to look in the world in a different perspective. I learned this one in a big way. I don't focus on business people bring in my community. I brought mindset people to interviews, people can learn more. So opportunities for them, opportunity for me. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the more you can connect other people,
yes,
you won't you'll become a person of value, and then it'll rub off. And that's a fun way to look at it. Networking and creating stuff and connecting people, and whether you're involved in it directly or not, that's the fun part of this game.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jacob, for coming on this interview. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, man.
Thank you so much, everyone. I see 12 to 14 people from 1 minute to till now
awesome.
On this live. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Eva. I'm gonna end this live and
see everybody. Appreciate you hanging out.
Bye-bye.